Welcome back in. We transition into the Tiger fan zone, and we are going to talk some football. We talked a little bit of football with Juan Rodriguez, but he deferred a lot to the Lady Westerner basketball team, which are coached by a guy that Jay knows well. I'm going to butcher his name if I try to say it. You want to try to say his name?
I would probably butcher it too.
Coach
Arzaga.
Yes. I'm not going to try the first name. I told him I wasn't going to say it until I'd practiced a little bit.
Yeah.
I've lived in West Texas for a while, but I still don't have the rolling R's down very well.
Yeah.
So CJ Villegas I can handle. Yeah. Remember Coach CJ? Play for him as a freshman?
Yes, sir.
Yep. He's down the road, up the road, I guess. When you guys talk, by the way, grab it above the silver and hold it close and use your Leighton Stone voice.
All right. Yes, sir.
Talk loud. Tigers are coming off of a 42-31 win at Midland High down in Midland. I was at that game. It was a typical District 2-6A game, except defensive guys got their moment in the sun. Cannon grabbed that. We talked about it the other day. I didn't realize you were on the field when we were talking, but it's kind of cool that the defense got to put the final nail in the coffin for a change, because usually it's these guys putting up their video game numbers, and you guys kind of get – people don't pay attention. The defense, though, was really good the other night. I know those numbers don't look like it all the time, but how good were you guys on defense?
Yeah, we pride ourselves. If we're on the field, that's where we want to be. We want to make that stop and help out our O as much as we can, for sure.
By the way, this is Cannon Richardson. I think everybody knows Chase Campbell. I think that's I'm going to make him blush here a little bit. I showed Campbell Stanek from Coronado. He had a one-handed catch last week, too. I said, look, you guys are like competing for who's got the best catch this week, and he's like, oh, that's Chase.
Let's hope Chase has another one Friday, huh?
I would imagine he probably needs one or two of those. So, Cannon, and I asked you when you described the play for me, because you did have a good view of it, because you happened to not be on the field. I love the way you described it to me the other day.
Yeah, so our D-line, they were having an amazing night all night, but Hudson Page, he came through and destroyed the mesh point, and he hit the quarterback he hit the fullback that hit the quarterback, and the ball just
was a twofer.
Yeah, and the ball was just right there, and Rylan Baker scooped it up and went for a touch.
And Chase, Coach told me that Rylan is pretty fast. You remember what I asked you right after the game? Would you have caught him if you'd have been chasing him?
I don't think I would have got him. I know he saw daylight and wasn't going to stop until he got to the end zone.
That was like a Forrest Gump moment. Coach will know what that is, but he saw that green field, and you're right, nobody was going to catch him. Now, somebody had to score one touchdown, because you scored the first four?
Three.
No, you scored four.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes,
three receiving.
Scored so many he's lost count.
There's another Forrest Gump thing. It's like, I scored a touchdown. But somebody else scored a touchdown in between there, and it was a really cool moment. And Coach and I talked about this the other day. Graham Stevens, who's a guy he's been a program guy he's been there for the whole
long time.
Hadn't gotten to play much, has played behind some pretty good receivers, including this year. He had a minor injury the other night, and his number was called. And not just the touchdown that he caught, but I said this to you the other day, Jay, the big catch early, 2 catches for first downs. Everything he did had an impact on that game, but the touchdown put you guys ahead with 4:17 to go. And I thought that was his first career touchdown. He reminded me, no, he got one in a playoff game last year.
He would remember that.
Yes,
yeah.
He would.
You know, I was very proud of Graham. You know, it's always rewarding for everybody involved to see a kid that, you know, hadn't had as many chances maybe as some of the other kids, but continues to show up with a great attitude and a great work ethic and be a good teammate and just do their best to prepare as a starter, even though they may not be a starter at the time, you know. And then when they do have opportunity knock for them, you know, for a guy like Graham to go in and have a game that he did, I think everybody was excited for him, and definitely a big part of the win. We were excited about that too.
Yes,
Randy.
That's always something to be excited about. Chase, you were really excited, because when I told you I was looking for him, you were like a little kid. You were like, you helped me find him. You wanted to make sure he got his moment there. Why, when a guy comes, I don't want to say out of nowhere, when a guy makes a contribution like that maybe nobody's expecting, why is that a big deal to you guys?
Yes, sir. I've known Graham since I've moved here, 8th grade, and I feel like he just worked real hard for that moment, and I feel like he really deserved it. I know their family, and they're really, really proud of him.
And Michelle, if you're listening, unfortunately, Graham got probably more mom size than Dad's. He's not the biggest guy in the world, and some football dudes are usually, size matters in football. But Jay, that's a good example right there of you don't have to be 6'3",
6'2".
6'2". You don't have to have Chase Campbell or Rylan Baker speed. You can just go out there, and if you work at it, you're going to get a chance and make a play. And, man, you guys needed that play at that moment.
Well, regardless of what size you are, the first step in being good is you have to think you're good.
Yep.
And I think Graham was checking that box, because he went in and he was ready. And then when he got his first catch there, which was a big catch, I think, he was on after that. So really proud and excited for Graham, and really excited about the win as a whole.
I may have, and I've said this to you, I may have been dreaming it, but it looked like that was a pretty tight window that quarterback had to get the ball through. Graham said, "No, I was wide open."
All receivers think they're open all the time, right? You know that. Yeah, the play was actually designed to where, the first progression was going to Chase, believe it or not. He tends to be the first progression on a lot of plays. And they kind of took him away, and Graham was the second progression, so they made Quaid go through his progressions, and luckily Quaid was able to get the ball out, on time, and it was a tight bang-bang catch and play, but Graham hung in there and hung on to the ball and got in the end zone.
And then the defense took over. And
yes, they did.
I've teased Coach. He's become a defensive-minded coach this year with all these defensive guys that are making big plays. And Coach Roboto told me he's tried to get you over there.
A few times.
Sorry. I bet that guy down there is not real excited
Chase
about
has played defense in his time here at Friendship. Yeah, he played some defense last year, went in and manned up some people a few times. There's not much that Chase hasn't done.
Nope. We've talked about this, especially the Lubbock Cooper game. We talked about everything he did. Kind of turned to gold, almost turned to gold that night. Phantom flag. So we're coming up on a break. The Tigers are 3-3. I said this for a couple weeks. They were a really good 1-2 team. They're a really good 2-3 team. Well, now they're just a 3-3 team, and they're 1-0 in district. That's the best way to look at things. They are at home Friday against Midland Legacy. I want to make sure I say it right. 7:30 p.m. at Tiger Stadium. That is on Double T 97.3 FM. We'll go through the schedule again before we're done tonight, but we're going to come back and talk more Tiger football after this break on 100.7 The Score.
Bringing you the latest news from Friendship Athletics. This is the Tiger Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back into the Tiger Fan Zone. I'm going to go back through the schedule this week because I sort of butchered it. My head was swimming a little bit when I sat down earlier. Thursday night, Estacado is the game at Lowry Field. That's District 2-4A Division II. They are playing Perryton. That's down the radio dial with Nick Long on the call. Friday night, District 2-6A Friendship Tigers hosts Midland Legacy at 7:30 p.m. on Double T 97.3 FM. In District 2-5A Division I, Coronado goes up to Amarillo, takes on Caprock on 96.9 The Bull. Lubbock High is at Shotwell Stadium against Abilene High. It's on a different network with Rob Bro calling the game. The UpCityPreps.com game of the week, Tascosa plays Monterey at 7 p.m. at Lowry Field on 93.7 The Eagle. Lubbock Cooper in District 2-5A Division II is at home against Paladuro, against former teammate. Eric Mims was a former teammate at WT, or did he go to ENMU?
He went to Eastern.
Okay, so you guys smacked heads then.
He's a little younger.
He's a little bit younger. He got the kinder, gentler Steve Parr.
Yeah, if there is one.
7 p.m. at Pirate Stadium right here on 100.7 The Score. Liberty is at home against Borger at 7 p.m. That's on 93.1 Young Country. Trinity Christian's at home in Taps Division II District 1 against Fort Worth All Saints at 7 p.m. And the early game tomorrow or Friday, Kingdom Prep and Christ the King in six-man Division 3 District 1 is at Christ the King at 4 p.m. I think that wraps up everything, though. I'll mention since we got a Plainview Bulldog in here, the Plainview is at home against Abilene Cooper, 7 p.m. at Greg Sherwood Memorial Stadium. Mostly I say their games a lot because I like saying Greg Sherwood Memorial Stadium. Just cool that
I bet you
that place is named after him. Midland High they came in, I think, 1-4. That was deceiving. We talked about this earlier this week, Jay. Look at Midland Legacy. It says 2-4 by their name. That's not a 2-4 football team. That's a team that's played a lot of good teams. It doesn't matter when you get into your district I'll get these two guys to talk about it because Chase has been through the wars a little bit in two sports. So take that mic, Chase. Why are these games? I talked to a couple of your teammates last week. You may have been one of them. Why are district games? What is it about them that brings out the best in everybody?
Yes, sir. Just knowing that any night can just make the district. If you win, you get a better chance at winning. If you lose, it could be over. So just every night that matters, no matter it's one of the worst teams and then one of the best teams, that whoever you play, it's going to be a good game every night.
And not that there's not good players in 5A and 4A, everything else, but you're going to see some guys in these next 4 games now that you may see on the field in college football for the next few years. They're going to be on the other side because every 6A team in this district has guys, and this guy next to you is probably going to be one of them too when he gets a little bit older. Coaches are great. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of coaches, and they have a lot to do with the games. But Jimmy's and Joe's have a lot to do with it. In 6A, it's a little bit more prominent.
Yes, sir. Just knowing that there's a bunch of athletes out there that are going to play at the next level, like you said, big, fast, strong. It's just the hard work that you put in and the determination to win.
And Cannon, I remember early last year, I remember seeing you play and thinking, this kid's pretty good. And then you get to District 2-6 games, you didn't blink. You were playing right there with those guys. You were a sophomore last year, right?
Yes, sir.
As a sophomore playing in that district, what did that do to kind of prepare you for this year and when you come back next year?
Yeah, it prepared me a lot more than I thought it would. Like, every game's going to be a dogfight in 2-6A, and you just have to bring it every game. And everyone's big, everyone's fast, everyone's strong. It's just how the district is.
Well, I can't tell yet if you shave.
Yes, sir.
All right. I bet by next year
He's got some whiskers up there.
After 4 more of these District 2-6A games and a couple playoff games, I bet I don't know if he'll have gray like me and you, Jay, but he may be shaving a little bit more. I can't remember if I asked you this the other day. When you got to Friendship, it was a 6A program. You'd been coaching in the Metroplex, and you'd seen really good football all over, but you're a West Texas guy. When you got out there coaching against the Midland Lees at the time and Odessa Permians, did you ever play against Permian? Or you guys
did
were
not
4A
in high
at that
school. We were 4A, yes, sir.
When you got out there and started coaching against them, did it hit you just how good football was out here at that level?
Yeah, it really did. Even though I grew up in this area, I'd been away for a while. I hadn't had a game with any of the teams, really in quite a while. And so, coming from the Metroplex back here and then showing up even at a track meet in the spring and seeing the kids that are running around, in that 6A district, and then showing up for those games that first year, you realize it's a tough place. It's a tough district, actually. And as you guys have talked about, the players are really, really talented. And then every team is coached really, really well.
Yep, and you've made a point of this. The coaches have been here for a while, and you don't get to stay in places for a while unless you're having some success. So there's a reason they want you to keep around.
Sir.
That's why he's still around. So coming up on the final break, we'll be back after this in the Tiger Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Breaking down Friendship Sports. This is the Tigers Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back in. We were talking Tiger football. I went through the schedule and make sure I got everybody before I forget. I don't want to leave anybody out and have angry moms and grandmas. What I always tell you, Chase, when you're about to take a mug shot, do what your mom and grandma would want. That's my old man fatherly advice. So Midland Legacy comes to town, and as I mentioned, they are 2-4, but they won their district opener 58-42. They scored a lot, gave up a lot. But you said that San Angelo has some dudes as well, which we just talked about. But Jay, what challenges does Midland Legacy present for you guys?
Well, they're always a very explosive team. Offensively, they've got some really big playmakers. They've got some guys with some really, really good speed. They've got a returning quarterback that's playing really well. So in other words, they have all of the ingredients over there, and they're using them. And then defensively, they returned a lot of guys from last year. I think the strength of their team is their D-line. They're really, really athletic, and so you put all that together with a lot of athletes and some good ingredients, you have a recipe for a pretty good team. And so That's usually the case every year, Randy. So they're just kind of living up to, I think, what we normally think of when we think of Midland Lee.
You could have just listened to you. If I'd shut my eyes, you could have been describing your own team. Good defensive line, a lot of athletes, some guys back.
I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it.
Didn't have a returning quarterback, but I'll get Chase to talk about this. Your quarterback has grown, not almost grown up is the right word. He's evolved very quickly. It's been fun. There's three young men who moved to Lubbock and are playing quarterback this year. One of them's hurt right now, but all three of them, they really evolved quickly, and they all play in pretty quarterback-friendly offenses. But Chase, how has Quade been different since that first night? He struggled that first night. You talked about afterwards the speed of the game. It's hard to adjust to at first, but he's really playing well.
Yes, sir. Coming from a smaller school, I think him coming in, and he came during the spring and a bunch of practice and a lot of time with Northcutt and everybody. We got timing down. The first game was a little shaky, but he started showing what he can do.
And defensively, you guys haven't had to have, there's not a whole lot of new guys up front, some in the secondary. You're kind of in the middle there. You kind of were the young pup who got to just play last year. Now you have to kind of be a leader. How have you guys kind of evolved and gotten better?
Yes, sir. I mean, it's just getting work every day, just grinding at it. We're coming in early, and then after school also. It's just being disciplined and trusting in our coaches.
Who has been somebody you've kind of looked at these last couple of years and tried to kind of learn from and grow as you've gotten older and bigger? Because you weren't this big last year either.
Yeah, someone that really pushed me last year was Cooper Archer. He really was a dog last year, and he really helped me throughout my year last year just with my confidence in playing.
There's another guy that didn't have huge size, but he brought the wood. I don't know that you had somebody that hit harder than him last year.
I would say that's a fair statement in regards to Cooper for sure. Yeah, good player for the old Tigers.
Same thing for you, Jay. We talked a lot about your defense being maybe the best you've had since you've been there, and they've had moments. We're in 2-6A now. I don't really think about what they do against 2-6A teams because of who you're playing, but are they where you thought they'd be right now?
Yeah, I think so, and they've just continued to get better and better every week. And, when you have a team that gets better every week, then you got something, and I think the way they dominated the offensive line last week against Midland, got in the backfield, I think that was a big-time confidence boost when you go against a team like that that's known for running the ball and having good OLs, and they had a D1 OL. You mentioned some D1 athletes, So I think that's only a confidence builder, and I really think the defense is a big strength of our team.
I'm glad you said that because Midland didn't necessarily they got a lot of yards in the second half, and it wasn't a matter of driving your guys off the ball. They broke some tackles, and they had some guys making plays. The quarterback was, I don't know if they gave him an extra Gatorade at halftime or what, but he was much different in the second half. And your guys, when they needed to adjust, as Cannon described so well, Hudson destroyed that I don't know, was it going to be a pitch or a handoff?
Anybody's guess at this point, Randy. Coach Ribb would probably know.
Because that was a blur.
We didn't give him a chance to get to the decision-making.
I had to go back and watch it 8 times to figure out exactly what happened. And Ryland, right place at the right time. He probably should have gone and played the lottery that night because that turned out well for him. So,
no doubt.
7:30 p.m. at Tiger Stadium, Midland Legacy at Friendship in District 2-6A. We're going to come up on the final break here, and we're going to come back in the Pirate Fan Zone right after this on 100.7 The Score.